All right, is everybody ready for a little storytelling? Storytelling. And I'm kind of new to the child genre, so you can tell by my sign that if you like what you hear and you want to throw some money at me, I'll be happy to take it. If not, you can throw tomatoes or glasses of vodka, that's fine. But loose ladies, geriatric germs, juvenile delinquents of all ages, allow me to knock at your lobes and permit the flow of my animalistic vocabulary to enter the pearly gates of your sharp-dressed souls. Presenting for your undistinguished disapproval here tonight, the story of the elephant's child. Not only am I going to hip you to it, but I'm going to have you digging it harder than John Henry's heavy hammer against the hill. For once a thing is said, it passes on into oblivion. So remain on the ride at all times. Keep your hands and legs inside the cart. Hold your thoughts at the tip of the rippity zip. And allow my words to permeate the dark graveyard of your groovy minds. Because you're all hip felines in my cat circle here tonight. But there are many different kinds of hip cats. There are some cats that dig on tigers, and some cats that dig on grizzly bears, and even some cats that dig on hippopotamuses. But what we need to focus our happy party heads on, folks, is one of God's own strange, flesh and bone leviathan creatures, the elephant. And I, friends and neighbors, am an elephant cat straight down to the very marrow of my bone. Now let it be told that in the high and far off times that the elephant had no trunk. And oh, best beloved, let me assure you of this fact, Jack, for the tale I will tell you is righteous, and the story is solid. For the elephant's nose as you know it now was not as you know it now. He had only a nose the size of an old beat-up boot, that he could wriggle from side to side. He could pick nothing up with it. And yes, it was very still useful in the sense that if you have a sense of smell, a nose is a very useful thing to have, regardless if it's long enough to pick articles up with. And there was one elephant, a young elephant, one that was newly hatched in the mind, who was full of insatiable curiosity. He lived in Africa, and he asked so many questions. Not that living in Africa makes you ask questions, mind you. I think, in my experience, that living in Africa only gives you the answers. But that elephant, he was full of questions and insatiable curiosities. And he asked his other relatives in the wild kingdom, the ostrich, the giraffe, the hippo, and the baboon, about the curious color and terrain of their hides, the strange nature of their physical forms. And all the animals quickly grew tired of all this shit, so they whooped the little elephant's ass, repeatedly, over and over. But still the elephant was full of insatiable curiosity. And one fine morning in the middle of the procession of the equinoxes, the elephant's child asked a new fine question that he had never asked before. What does the crocodile have for dinner? And everyone in the animal kingdom upon the great dark continent of Africa immediately plugged up his little pie hole with a big forceful hush. And they dealt an ass whipping on the elephant's child, the likes of which had not been seen upon the dark continent since the continent was bathed in light. And as the ass whooping persisted for many days, until the elephant's child had no more ass to whoop. Maybe. And when the beating had subsided, he came upon the kolo bird perched in the wait-a-bit thorn bush. And he told the bird that his father had whipped his ass, his mother, his brother, his aunts, his uncles, his sisters, his second cousin twice removed fiance's ex-boyfriend's neighbor. Everybody in the whole goddamn family tree. But still, his insatiable curiosity wanted to know, what did the crocodile have for dinner? And the kolo bird eyed him with disdain and screamed off-pitch rat style, "Go to the banks of the great gray green greasy Limpopo River, all set about with fever trees, and find the fuck out, quit bugging me." So the elephant's child did just that. He filled his bag with fruit and baby wipes and bid his family adieu. And his family whipped his ass again, just on good luck and general principle. And then the elephant child went away, a little heated, eating melons and throwing the rinds about because he could not pick them up. And he wandered the black continent until at last he arrived at the banks of the great gray, green, greasy Limpopo River, all set about with fever trees, precisely where the kolo bird had said it would be, And oh, best beloved, you must come to understand that to this very precise moment in time, the elephant's child had never laid eyeballs upon a crocodile, and he did not know the nature of what one was. So the first thing he found at the riverbed was a bicolored python rock snake, curled around, curiously enough, a rock. "Excuse me," said the elephant child, "but have you seen such a thing as a crocodile in these promiscuous parts?" "Have I seen a crocodile?" questioned the bicolored python rock snake. "What in heaven's name will you ask me next?" And the elephant's child continued, "Could you kindly tell me what he has for dinner?" And the bicolored python rock snake uncoiled himself and whipped the elephant's ass. And the elephant's child thought this odd, but it was nothing new, for his family had spanked him repeatedly for his insatiable curiosity. So he said goodbye to the bicolored python rock snake, helped him recoil on his rock, and continued to the river's edge, where he stepped upon what he thought was a log of wood. At the Limpopo River, all set about with fever trees, but oh, best beloved, I will tell you now and right now, that piece of wood was truly the crocodile, and he winked like that. "Excuse me," said the elephant's child, "but have you seen such a thing as a crocodile in these promiscuous parts?" And the crocodile winked the other eye and said, "Come hither, little one, for I am the crocodile." And he wept crocodile tears to lay out the DNA trail of proof. And the elephant's child grew excited, and a golden shower of pee rolled down his leg, and his mind spun like a Benzedrine top. "You are the very person I have been looking for all these long days. Will you please tell me what you have for dinner?" "Come hither, and I will whisper it into your ear," said the crocodile. And because the elephant's child was not in the know about large reptilian water dwellers, he put his head down close to the croc's toothsome mouth, and the crocodile caught him by the little nose, a nose up to that juncture that had been no bigger than a railroad boot. And between his teeth, the crocodile muttered, "I think today I will begin with the elephant's child." And oh, best beloved, being that the elephant's child was not an experienced gator wrangler, like Steve Irwin or that actor Paul Hogan on Crocodile Dundee. He could only pull and speak through his nose, "Let go, you be hurting me." And hearing the scuffle, the bicolored rock snake hurried down the bank. "My young friend, you do not now immediately instantly pull as hard as you ever can. It is my opinion that your acquaintance in the large leather hustler will jerk you into yonder limpid stream before you can say Jack Robinson." So the elephant's child sat back on his little haunches and dug into the riverbank and pulled, his nose stretched and stretched. The crocodile pulled, harder and harder. The elephant's child's nose stretched, longer and longer, till it had stretch marks like tiger stripes. And the tug-of-war continued until the elephant's child felt his knees slipping. And seeing this, the bicolored python rock snake hurried down the bank and knotted himself around the elephant's body. Rash and inexperienced traveler, we will now seriously devote ourselves to a little high tension, because if we do not, it is my impression that yonder self-propelling man of war with the armor-plated upper deck will permanently put you out of print, cause you to cancel your subscription, have you circle the drain and go on down. So the bicolored python rock snake pulled along with the elephant's child until at last the crocodile relentlessly gave up his grip. And the nose of the elephant's child fell back in a great thud. And he thanked the bicolored python rock snake and inspected his poor pulled-out nose, which has now been badly mangled and out of shape. And he hung his nose into the great gray green greasy Limpopo River for 3 days, waiting it for it to shrink, but it did not. And oh, best beloved, you will need to understand that the crocodile pulled it out into a really truly elephant trunk, same as you see on all elephants today. And at the end of the 3rd day of soaking his trunk in the river, a fly came and stung the elephant on the shoulder, and before he realized it, he flung his trunk over his back and killed the fly dead. "Advantage number 1, said the bicolored python rock snake, "not easily done with a mere smear nose." And the elephant child then picked up a large bundle of grass and stuffed it into his mouth. "Advantage number 2, said the bicolored python rock snake, "not easily done with a mere smeared nose." And the elephant's child then scooped a pack of mud from the river, and he placed it on his head, either because he was slow in the brain or he was just really hot. I don't know. Advantage 3, said the bicolored python rock snake, not easily done with an itsy-bitsy nose made just for smelling. Now, how do you feel about a spanking? I should not like it at all, said the elephant's child. Perhaps you will change your mind when you're old enough to hit the S&M clubs down in London's seedy Soho district. But never mind that. What I mean to say is, how would you like to put a severe whooping on somebody else? I would like that very much, said the elephant's child. And so he went back across the dark continent of Africa and flung his strong trunk to and fro. And when he arrived back to his dear family, he coiled up his trunk and said, "You miss me, Mother Truckus?" And now retorted, "Come here and let us spank you for your insatiable curiosity." I don't think you know anything about spanking, said the elephant child, but I know a little something about an ass whooping. And he uncoiled his new trunk and pounded his 3 brothers into the dirt harder than a hot shovel to China. And he went right up to the baboon and right up his rear and flung him into the tree, into a hornet's nest. And he sucked the ostrich into his long nose, and blew him out like a bad booger. And the elephant's child whipped all of his dear family asses across the entire dark continent of Africa for a long, long time, until all his dear family members had no more asses left to whoop. And things got so compelling, so on the pounce of now, so teetering on the edge of future trend setting, that all the elephant's child's family members, one by one, ran down to the banks of the great gray Greenland Popo River, all set about with fever trees. And they borrowed brand new noses from the crocodile, each and every one of them. And from then on, all the elephants had trunks like the one that hung from the ugly mug of the elephant's child. And oh, best beloved, let it be known that no one whooped anyone's asses for a very, very, very long ass time. Until one day a new baby elephant was born, and he came to ask another question. What do AK-47 submachine guns have for dinner? Thank you.